Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are definitely having some issues with our first stage for our moon flyby. There's no doubt about that, but I think that those first stage issues are entirely solvable, in all honesty. So let's hop in here. We have 173 science to spend, so we can grab one of these. We can almost grab two. So for heavy rocketry, we'd be able to get our hands on like Pollexes or Kickbacks. That might not be a bad idea, actually. That would boost the power of that first stage incredibly dramatically. The other option is being able to get T-800 fuel tanks, which would save us part count. Both of those are interesting options. Very interesting options. Both are very important. I think we're going to go for heavy rocketry for right now. So we'll grab that and we'll hop back into the VAB. Actually, before we do, I really do need to check to see if there are any contracts that can be done. And we also need to set up our finance strategy in our administrative center. This is very important as well. We're going to commit 25% to this. I don't care about our reputation, like, at all. And that's going to yield us cash in exchange for 25% of our reputation. So we will go ahead and set that on up. Excellent. We'll be able to ramp that up later on, which will be fine. But we'll hop into mission control. Is there anything here that we want to do? Not a single one at the launch site. That is spicy. Okay, so we'll hop into the vehicle assembly building here, and let's see about cranking up the power of the first stage on this Hopper 3 Block 3. So that would mean dropping the thumpers, and instead putting in either kickbacks or Pollexes. Now, these are incredibly heavy compared to the thumper. Are we going to run into weight constraint issues? That's the question. The answer is no, we're fine. Okay, this is hilarious looking, I must say. We're going to raise this up a wee bit. Something like that. That is ridiculous looking. Completely and totally ridiculous. Now, we absolutely need to move these on down. And we're going to use the place tool to place these much higher up on the rocket. More like here. Okay. It's definitely ridiculous. There's no doubt about it. But then we're going to put in our strut connectors, and those will go down over here. This is like wild overkill, right? Absolutely wild overkill. 1.98 thrust to weight here. That's a little on the high end. I mean, 1.25 is a little on the low end, but we're going to back this off to be like 1.5, 1.6, 1.51. That might be good. What's exactly 75%? 1.48? What's 80%? 1.58. I like this. Now, we're probably going to get going really fast through the atmosphere here. At 1.58 is my guess. However, I want to have our staging be more like this. And this is going to be, like, ridiculous. This is not, by any means, what I would consider to be a high-quality rocket design. But it is what it is. We're going to launch it. We are constrained almost entirely at this point by part count, which is constrained by cash. So we need cash. Period. End of story. That's very wiggly. Why is that wiggling like that? We have struts on there too. Like, this is going to go boom. We've got a big ol' Kraken going on there. That's very strange. Okay, so we revert that back to the vehicle assembly. Why do we have a Kraken going on there? Well, it's probably to do with the way that this was placed on, is my guess. I'm going to try replacing this. Oh, we need to be in symmetry mode. Replacing that. And moving it down. That's as far down as we can move it. So from there, we grab this, and I'm going to try placing it on this stage instead of on the Science Junior. We'll see what happens with that. And then this was largely fine as it was. We'll see if we have a big old Kraken going on with this one, because that was quite a physics Kraken. Like I said, this is not a good design. This is a design created entirely by constraints. But let's see what we've got. Any Krakens? This does not seem very attached, does it? I'm going to call this a simulated run. We will revert it either way. This is something that I've done previously. I'm going to do a simulated run, and we're going to see what happens with this. We're not getting the Kraken like this. It looks like it just restores back. Now, SAS is off, and we would want it to be somewhere like this. So it looks like we're actually okay once we detach off of the landing tower. Yeah, that seems to be relatively fine. We've got plenty of power in this stage at this point. This is essentially now a 3-stage rocket, with these being our initial booster stages, and this being our 2nd stage, and this being our 3rd stage. That's essentially what we've got at this point. So what kind of an apoapsis are we looking at here? Like I said, this is a simulated run, and I'm also interested in seeing what the aerodynamics are like, which are not great. We're going to try just locking to prograde here. It wasn't a great launch off the pad, but I'm just interested in seeing what this looks like when we run out of SRB. Remember, these have gimbal on them. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. Apoapsis height is okay. But this is a simulated launch, primarily because I wasn't sure what was going on with these SRBs. We'll see what that detachment is like as well. The SRB detachment could be interesting. That's another point of potential issue. We'll throttle up to max, and yeah, apoapsis height is way up there. Okay. Detachment seems okay. I mean, apoapsis height is wildly too high. But that's not actually a problem for this. But what that means is we don't necessarily need this to be multiple stages. We can make this a lot more efficient, because this carries us up a long, long ways. So what we could do is we could drop our swivel here. We could drop this, drop the decoupler, drop the Terrier, and slot this in. Like so. Turn it back into a 2-stage rocket, and this would then get a, it would get a Terrier on it. And we could even boost up the amount of fuel that we have here. So this would then drop down. We would duplicate this, and that would go there, and then that would go there, like so. Now, what's the thrust to what? This is a ridiculous amount of fuel, by the way, for a Terrier. This is absolutely insane. If we go up to max here, 7,000 delta V in this all of a sudden. That's the power of having a good first stage. I'm not going to call this good. That's the power of having a powerful enough first stage. Okay, so that's an option. This is a ridiculous amount of delta V, though. We really don't need this level of delta V. We really, really don't. So that's something to think about. I also think that we can safely back off on the power level of these down to around 77.5%. So we're dropping that by another 2.5%. And that's okay. I want to have this here. There we go. So yeah, this is like, if we wanted to, this would be more than capable of landing on the moon. This is certainly capable of moon orbit. And that might be something that we want to do. So let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to launch this for real this time. For realsies. Like I said, this is a ridiculous amount of fuel in our maneuvering stage. I'm not going to pretend it's not. Like, this is more overkill than we need, for sure. So we'll let the physics Kraken settle down a little bit. We'll throttle up. And up we go. Once these get attached correctly. That's interesting. Okay, up we go, and we're going to start our gravity turn here a little bit. And we're just going to lock to prograde from here. We're going to keep an eye on our apoapsis, and we're probably going to have to do a more aggressive turn than just locking to prograde because of the power of these SRBs. But yeah, overall, this seems very doable. It's ridiculous and very Kerbal, but it's doable. Excellent. So, I mean, we can't turn off these SRBs. That's the downside of them. We can't throttle them down. We can't turn them off. They are what they are. They burn for as long as they're going to burn unless we detach them early and blow ourselves up. That's the way it goes. So at this point, we absolutely do need to be attempting to get more horizontal velocity. We're getting a lot of aerodynamic resistance here. There's no doubt about that. But we're going to try to get as much horizontal velocity as we can. Okay, we have safely separated. For now, we're going to try to lock to prograde, but we're going to be in a tumble, and that's expected. At this point, that's completely fine. So at the apoapsis here, which is 170 kilometers, we're going to add a maneuver, and that is going to be something along the lines of this. Okay. So we are going to be out of the atmosphere very shortly. In fact, we are right now. Is 170 going to be in space high? I'm not sure, but we will definitely get to in space high. And we've got our tumble under control as expected. We're going to need to burn this in, let's see here, burn time of about 4 minutes. So at about T minus, let's see here, it's going to be 2 minutes minus 2.5 seconds. So that's fine. We'll just position here. And that would be T minus 2 minutes, or actually 1 minute and 57.5 seconds, I think. Yeah, something along those lines. Okay, so we will burn that momentarily here. We have so much Delta V. This is wildly overkill, as predicted. We'll warp forward a little further, and we will need to burn this now. We're at maximum efficiency. And this is fantastic. We've got plenty of time to get this burn done. We're going to physics warp the burn a bit, because it will be a somewhat lengthy burn, about 4 minutes. Which is fine. Like, we have so much burn time here. Well over 10 minutes of burn time. Okay. So, about 600 meters per second left to burn here. 500. Just keeping an eye on our positioning here, adjusting it slightly, although that's hard while physics warping. Yeah, I'm going to come out of the physics warp as we adjust that. There we go. Yeah, I know that we can't warp faster than 1x. Well, we should be able to physics warp, but whatever. I guess we can't physics warp anymore. That's fine. We only have about 40 seconds left in this burn, so that's completely and totally okay. We just passed the apoapsis a little bit ago, so that's perfect. We're not in space high, but we will get in space high. Absolutely. Oh, hello. That's exciting. I mean, we don't need KER to be shown, so that's okay. At this point, we're just watching the periapsis for circularization. Cool. Just keeping an eye on that, and we'll cut the throttle as soon as that's good to go. Look, which it will be right about now. We'll call that good. How's our actual orbital info going? 1.9 degrees inclination, not great. And our eccentricity is pretty good, 0.0124. We'll take it. We've got lots of Delta V left, of course, and we're going to be doing a flyby of the moon for our contract. That's all we need to do is fly by the moon and return from a flyby of the moon. Just want to double check. Yes, we have a decoupler. We have a heat shield. Okay. Now the main problem here might be electric charge. We're going to turn SAS off, and we're going to... There's no hibernation here, right? Right, there's no hibernation here. So we're going to need to have our electric charge last us this whole way. Let's see. Moon is going this direction, correct? I believe so. So we would want to intercept it probably somewhere around here-ish. Well, that gives us an intercept. What's that intercept actually look like? Reasonable. Oh yeah, that's plenty of time. I like it. So we'll position for that burn. This will take electric charge to get turned over there. And our engine doesn't have an alternator on it. We have no way of generating electric charge. That's just a tech problem right now. But we will position right over here. And then we will go ahead and warp. Excellent. And don't stop the time warp for now. Yeah, I know we could grab EVA reports, and that's probably something that we want to do, but for the moment... actually, Bill, go ahead and grab that EVA report. There we go. Okay. So just position back over here. This is going to be at T-minus 1 minute and 11 seconds that we will commence this burn. Wonderful. Bad timing. We're not going to grab that EVA report when we're 2 seconds away. Okay, we needed to start the burn a second ago, but that's fine. We'll see if we can still grab EVA reports after the burn here. So that'll be fine. This is going to be a fairly lengthy burn at about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, but it's not too bad. This will net us a flyby of the moon, and we are going to need to return from a flyby of the moon. I'm wondering if we can... The plan was to fly by the moon and complete this contract, and then hop back to the KSC and grab the orbit the moon contract and orbit in the same flight. We may not be able to do that. We'll still orbit the moon in this flight. We've got plenty of Delta V to make that happen. I mean, this is just ludicrous. We've got so much Delta V. We can get almost anywhere with this amount of Delta V. But yeah, that's kind of the overall plan. I mean, getting back again with this amount of Delta V might be interesting. But overall, this is much better. And that is, like I said, the power of having a solid first stage. Not necessarily a solid fueled first stage, for the record. We'll be getting off of those. We did break the land speed record. That's fantastic. That gives us some extra cash. That's going to be a big deal. Okay, so off we go to the moon here. We've got another 50 seconds left in this burn, and you can see our orbit slowly reaching out towards the moons. We can always grab the mystery goo observation and the material study, and I'm going to grab both of those. And then we will collect all of those. Excellent. And off we go here. Just positioning a little bit better on the marker. Another 15 seconds left in this burn. Let's do it. That is, of course, our destination. We're not going to be landing on it, but we'll be orbiting it. Kind of skipping the whole flyby process. And how are we looking? Good enough. This is good enough. This is not going to be a low moon orbit, but that's okay. We will go ahead and have Bill EVA at this time. And he will let go, and he'll turn on his RCS. And he's going to head on over this direction. Excellent. Open up the service bay, and we're going to grab the Mystery Goo containment unit. Oh. Right, this is Bill. Well, that sucks. I always forget that when you restart the game, it resets the Kerbals that you have in your saved craft. That's my own fault. We brought the engineer. We did not bring the scientist. If you've been yelling at me this whole time, I'm sorry. It's my fault. We're going to miss out on some science. That's okay. I mean, we're going to have a contract to orbit the moon later, I think. Maybe we should just fly by the moon then. And get the contract to orbit the moon. I mean, we can orbit the moon with this same craft. That's not a problem. So we do want to stop time warp here. Because we can still grab EVA reports and crew reports. That's all completely fine. We're still going to get a lot of science from this. Even though I brought the wrong Kerbal. You'd think that would be something that someone would check. But no, that's not the kind of thing that we check. Clearly, Bob overslept, and Bill was brought in. But we'll have plenty of electric charge. We don't have anything draining it, so that's great. For now, we're just warping at somewhat low speed as we wait to see if we're going to get any other in-space high biomes here. So far, it's not looking like it. I mean, once you're out here and going on a trajectory like this, it can be kind of difficult to get into different biomes. But we're a ways away from our moon encounter here, still 4 hours. We'll just accelerate our time warp a little bit. Shores, grasslands. Okay, yeah, it's only low orbit that has the different biomes. That's right. Okay, so we're going to go over here, and we're going to grab the in-space high over the moon. I think we'll save the in-space low over the moon, because we do need, and what is this? Yes. Close encounter. That's a good amount of cash, and the first flyby of the moon. Yes. Fantastic. And we're going to collect all here. Grab our crew report, our temperature scan, our atmospheric pressure scan. Bill will EVA and do an EVA report, and he'll hop back in. Cool. Now we're not going to get to moon low, but what we can do is we can, at this periapsis, we can adjust our periapsis of Kerbin a bit, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have this be a periapsis of more like around 40 kilometers is going to be our target. That's probably close enough. Actually, that's 75. I thought that was 45. Let's see here. I'm going to target 40 kilometers. There we go. Okay, so we will line up for that burn. Like I said, we're fully capable of orbiting, but because we don't have the contract, I'm going to hold off on that. I think that the contract doesn't spawn if we've already done it, and I do want to do that contract. So we are definitely going to do that next flight, and next flight we're going to bring a scientist along as well. That will help a lot with getting that science. So we will go ahead and time warp on forward. And we're going to burn this at T-minus 15.5 seconds. So we'll warp forward about another minute here. And this is just going to be a prograde burn, so that's fine. Okay, we're going to burn this now. And home we go. This burn will, of course, return us there. It doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense, but it does. Excellent. We're burning almost exactly the wrong direction to go the place that we're trying to go. But yeah, it's going to work just fine. So I'm just keeping an eye on this periapsis here. This is the number that really matters right now. 200, 100, and we're going to slow it down a bit. There we go. Yeah, that was pretty much bang on there. I like it. So we're going to be going around this direction. We're going to reach the apoapsis in 1 day, 2 hours, and then we're going to reach the periapsis in 3 days, 2 hours. So that's fine. We're going to escape the gravitational influence of the moon. Goodbye, moon. We'll be back. And we're going to bring proper science this time. So there's our world first, escaping the gravitational influence of the moon. Fantastic. And we're currently not going to be going this direction. We're going to turn SAS off. We don't want to be burning power right now, but what we're going to want to do is focus on Kerbin, and then when we come in over this way, we're going to want to do a radial retrograde burn to get our apoapsis and our periapsis. Well, we're going to reduce our apoapsis while keeping our periapsis roughly where it's at. So retrograde to drop our apoapsis, and then radial to pull our periapsis back out is going to be the idea here. And how much are we going to burn off? I mean, we have plenty of fuel for this re-entry burn. Like, this is not a problem. I want to burn this to be... Honestly, this is about as good as we're going to get, I think. Like, this is going to be... Well, actually, we want to continue to burn this way. Just a little more retrograde at this point. And then bring that down to like 30 kilometers. This is a fine re-entry. That's not a problem. Okay, so we will align for that. And we will begin to warp in order to brake. That's probably the cheapest and most efficient way to brake. There we go. And we'll turn SAS off for the moment once we adjust it a small amount there. There we go. And we will go ahead and warp towards the maneuver node. Excellent. So we are on our way back, and this burn will be happening shortly. We will do this in, let's see here, this is going to be a minute and like 9.5 seconds. So yeah. 1 minute, 9.5 seconds is our T-minus. Okay, in space near, we're going to grab, oh, nope, never mind. We're not going to grab that. Nope, we are going to grab it. Got it. Okay. 1 minute, 9 seconds, not 19. Okay, 9. There we go. Now, we are missing out on in space near Kerbin's deserts, but we do need to get this burn done here. So this burn is very important to return safely. I mean, we probably could return safely as it was, but it would be a lot less safe, shall we say. So yeah, I mean, as far as a moon flyby goes, this wasn't bad. We have plenty of Delta V. We easily could have done an orbital mission. I mean, we could have brought a lander, and we could have done a lander mission. But that would have required a lot more than 30 parts. No doubt about that. Hopefully, by finishing this contract and getting all of this back, we will have enough cash to be able to make that a viable thing. I would like to get additional science here, but for now, that's not hugely an option. I can't believe we brought Bill. I'm pretty dumb. There's no doubt about that. So we have bled off almost 600 meters per second. That's quite a lot of speed. We've got another 600 meters per second to bleed. You can see our apoapsis is still very high here. Our periapsis is only just in the atmosphere right now. So we're really not going to bleed off too much speed aerobraking, although this would eventually return home. We're going to do this a little faster with a powered return. So we're going to reach periapsis in a couple of minutes here. It's not actually going to be a minute and a half because we are delaying that return by slowing down. But once we have this bleed off done, this speed bleed off, we should be absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever here. We're now flying high, so no chance of getting additional science, but we're going to get a lot of science from this flight regardless. This was a wildly successful flight, and it's great. So back we come. And we will be landing shortly. The question is, do we want to try to land this whole thing? I think that that's probably too much for our parachutes to handle. Oh, we want to chase this node a bit. There we go. Okay. We'll call that good. So we're just going to sit retrograde for now. Now we do have a lot more speed that we could bleed off if we wanted to come home a little bit quicker. So that is an option. We could drop our periapsis a little further. I think for now, we're just going to physics warp. And we'll see what the heating ends up looking like. This shouldn't be too bad, in all honesty. We can try to bring this back, but I really, really doubt that we have enough parachute for that. We'll see. We can burn off like a kilometer per second or so. And then after that, we can use the remainder for a landing burn if we have the thrust to weight to pull that off. I think that's very unlikely. Like, exceptionally unlikely. We're certainly going to continue speeding on through this atmosphere, though. We're technically speeding up right now, which isn't hugely surprising. We're still 50 kilometers up, 60 kilometers up almost. So, yeah, that's gonna take a little bit. We're not that far from the KSC right now, but we are going to be crossing the Terminator line fairly soon. So that is a thing that will be happening. We'll be coming down in nighttime, it looks like. That's okay. Oh, I just dropped us to speed 3 time warp. There we go. Back up to speed 4. Okay, now that we're seeing heating effects, I'm going to burn off that kilometer per second. And we're going to try to keep about 200 in the tank, just in case we are able to recover this whole thing. I think that's pretty unlikely, like I've said multiple times at this point, but we'll give it a go. So, 500 now. 200 is now. Okay. We're going to stop the time warp for the moment. We're coming down here. So that was our re-entry burn. If we don't slow down enough for parachutes here pretty soon, then we're going to have to jettison this. We aren't slowing down all that much, in all honesty. We're 900 meters per second right now. We're in flying low. I'm going to jettison this. I'm going to burn off the remainder of this fuel here. Actually, drogues. There we go. That slowed us down enough for drogues, which should slow us down enough for main. Yes. We still have 100 meters per second in the tank for a propulsive landing. I still don't believe that that will necessarily do the trick, but let's see what the parachutes get us to. We're only moving at about 200 meters per second right now. If we have to jettison this, we can, and it's not going to be a problem. We'll slow down dramatically at that point. You can also see our meters per second dropping here. That's just because we're getting closer to sea level, and the Terrier is not efficient at this at sea level pressures here. That's to be expected. So I'm going to physics warp here until we have our chutes open. There go the drogues, and the main will open now, bringing us down to 11 meters per second. I think we can recover this whole stack. That's insane. Honestly, didn't expect it, but we'll take it. How much burn time do we have here? 9 seconds. Okay. I didn't mean to clear input locks. We want the... Go away. You know what? Can probably burn... Well, not quite now. Now. Excellent. Did we lose anything? I don't think we did. That tip over was a little spooky, but I think we're good. We've still got 22 meters per second left. Look, we're a boat. This is the worst boat I've ever seen. Okay. We've got 3 meters per second left. I'll burn the rest of that. There we go. We're an awful boat. This is not a good boat. We should recover this boat before we accidentally blow it up. Fantastic. So that's the flyby done, and we're definitely going to want to make a few changes to the actual rocket for the orbit. I mean, like I said, we had an overkill amount of fuel. We absolutely could have made do with less. But that was 136.3 science, and more importantly, look at all that cash. Contract parameter complete, contract complete, world first milestones, all great. KER, you don't need to be there. Let's see, Explore Kerbal is rendezvous 2 vessels. Okay, that's easy enough. Science data from space around Kerbal. Yes, we do that. Absolutely. Plant flag on the moon. We will do that eventually. We're not quite there yet. Bringing back a moonstone. East Farside Crater Polar... Yeah, we can do that. That's something that's doable. Okay, so that's great. We got a bunch of contracts. We are fantastic on cash at this point. And we're going to upgrade our VAB so that we can support a few more parts for our moon ambitions. Of course, we're not going to be spending too much time on the moon. We're mostly going to be harvesting it for science, but that'll be absolutely fine. We can also grab fuel systems, which will allow us to do external fuel ducts, which will allow us to do liquid fueled outside stages, as well as fuel tanks, T800s. So that's pretty good. We can get also like advanced construction if we want to do fairings. But I think that more important than that is getting access to photovoltaic panels. So we're going to do that. Fantastic. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to begin work on a little bit of communications infrastructure, as well as working on our moon ambitions. Did I just do the outro? I can't remember. I'm going to do it again. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.